You are now listening to Podcast Like a Champion Today, an OU football podcast produced by fans for fans. Now, here are your hosts, Noah, Joe, Johnny, and Christian.
All right, Sooner Nation. We are back with another episode of Podcast Like a Champion Today. We wrapped up with a post-game pod this weekend, threw it in there after just a tough loss between OU and K-State. If you guys want to hear our thoughts on that and just where we think we're headed from there, we would love for you guys to go back and listen to that. As you're going back to listen, don't forget to give us a 5-star review, drop something on there, ask us some questions, do something that just helps us spread the pod. Share it on your social media, send it to someone who likes OU football. All of that stuff helps us. And so if you want to go back and listen to OU K-State, what went on, what we think happened, and our thoughts through that, make sure that you listen to our last episode. But this week, we're going to move on to TCU. Johnny, what are your thoughts going into TCU?
Well, I would not want to be TCU this week. I just, last week when we talked about K-State, I felt like we were all very confident, but from the beginning of the season, we've been talking about Adrian Martinez and Deuce Vaughn. Like, those are their two players, and they made the plays for them this last game. But TCU doesn't have those people. Like, they don't have people that stick out from the crowd. Like, overall, their team is just average. Obviously, they're, all good athletes, and you should never underestimate teams. And I don't think that this team will. I think they underestimated K-State and what Adrian Martinez could do on his feet. And I don't see Brent Venables allowing that to happen again. And honestly, it's not even just the coaching. I really think this team is down on themselves from that, and they want to prove that they're not like the other teams that, have before them that maybe have struggled with continuing going after a hard loss. They want to go out and just absolutely wreck them this week. So,
yeah, their quarterback, he's a guy to look out for. Correct me if I'm wrong. Max Duggan?
Mm-hmm.
Dugan? Whatever it is.
Max Duggan.
Not like an elite player by any means, but like, a familiar guy, Dylan Gabriel, he also hasn't thrown an interception this season, which is a very big accomplishment whenever we're 4 games in. So that's something to look out for. They got a few skill players that are all right. Definitely, after last week, we don't want to take anybody lightly. I think we need to see some better tackling, be more physical. Like Johnny said on the post game, we need to see some more offensive diversity probably. And if we do those things, I don't want to do the picks too early, but I think OU does more than cover.
Yeah, TCU is coming into this game undefeated. Their offense is really good, potent. They haven't played the best opponents, but they can score some points.
Yeah.
Where they aren't very good is on defense. They gave up 17 points to Tarleton State, which is where my brother-in-law goes. Shout out Ryan of the New Year.
There you go.
He was up here for the Kent State game, and he was keeping track of the score on his phone because his school was playing TCU, and it did not end well for them. But they put up some points. They give up 21 a game to OU 17, but yeah, like they're a good offensive team. None of their guys like jump off the page stats wise. Duggan's thrown for 695 this year, 8 touchdowns. Like you guys hinted at, no interceptions. Their running back, their number one guy is 250 yards and 3 touchdowns, and their top receiver has 126 yards and 2 touchdowns compared to Marvin Mims at 397 and 3. So OU should handle business, like Johnny said. Wouldn't want to be a horned frog this week, but I think OU is going to come out on fire and just kind of overwhelm TCU. Yeah, I just look for our defensive line to really, really have a good performance after last week. If they don't, there's cause for concern, and it probably means we don't fare very well in this game. Because TCU can put up points. If you're not able to get pressure on Duggan, it's gonna be a long day.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be fun to watch. Definitely for our defensive again, because I think the quarterback situation is a little different. Like we said, most of the past opponents we've had, their quarterbacks scramble and take off to run a little bit more, and doesn't seem like Duggan really does that. He's more of a pocket passer here. We obviously, you guys have talked about his efficiency, but he's actually the highest rated in the nation for pass efficiency right now. So he's completed 77% of all of his throws. His QBR's gotten better every game. His first game was a 72.2, and then it jumped to a 91.9. And his QBR in their last win against Colorado was a 99.9. And so right now his overall QBR is an 86.7. He's just super efficient. So this should be something where we see a quarterback really try to actually beat us with his arm. And see him maybe take some shots downfield, push our secondary back a little bit. I think our secondary still done great. They didn't even give up a whole lot to K-State. We just didn't have any pressure and gave Martinez all day to throw the ball. But also we had to worry about Martinez running, and I don't think we have, even close to that same threat here with Duggan. So that'll be fun to see defensive line, the front seven bounce back, get constant pressure on him, and then see how our secondary fares against like an actual pocket passer. So
yeah, we gave Adrian Martinez all day to throw the ball, but he didn't really have to throw the ball. And then him and Deuce Vaughn just ran all over us. But yeah, I think it'll be a different story with a quarterback like Duggan that will try to beat you with his arm. So this will be like a real good test for our secondary. So I'm excited to see that matchup.
Yeah.
What do you all want to see from OU? I mean, what's the main thing you're looking into for that as a bounce back week?
For me,
it's just tackling, finishing tackles, finishing plays, less of the arm tackling. These TCU doesn't have the personnel that Kansas State has as far as like the huge quarterback that's hard to bring down, or the Deuce Vaughn that's just like incredibly hard to tackle. If there's not an improvement on that front, like I said, I think things get kind of ugly, and that's a pretty good indication of like how the season is going to go if they come out flat again and aren't able to get quarterback pressure. Last week, no sacks, and they came in leading the country in tackles for loss. To only get 4 last week, no sacks, it was just kind of we're just kind of shocked, We talked about in the post-game pod, like that was the key to the game, was containing and creating pressure without losing gap integrity. And we saw a lot of the defensive ends just going straight upfield, and Martinez just able to step up and get out of there.
Yeah, I saw on Twitter this week, Reggie Grimes was interviewed, and he basically was saying like him and Ethan's Downs are, have been talked about as like one of the better defensive end duos in the country, and that they were upset with themselves that neither one of them got a sack. So I definitely see that as a goal for them this week. All the points that you guys made about that are really good. I don't want to underestimate Max Duggan, but I also know that even a great quarterback, I'm not talking even Tom Brady level, but like a great quarterback with low weapons or not great weapons can only do so much, And so I don't think the defense will underestimate them whatsoever, but if they still had Zach Evans as a running back, and after he transferred to Ole Miss, who they're on fire right now too, I'd be a little more worried. But they just had like 2 of their corners go in this last draft, so they have some greenies back there as well. So even if our defense does struggle somehow, our offense should just eat in this game. And I don't think Levy's going to hold back whatsoever as far as like play calling to just get points on the board. Because that last couple drives we had in the previous game, if we played like that the whole time, we could have put up 70 points. But we chose to not really show our hands until it was too late. So I don't think they'll do that again.
And to that point, I want to see the offensive line win the battle in the trenches and kind of impose their will. We saw they were great against Nebraska. They were pushing their defensive line around, making big holes. Eric Gray had a huge rushing day. We didn't see that movement last week at all.
Yeah. And another thing about the defensive line, obviously, I want to see, just like we saw the first 3 weeks, guys flying to the ball and, that grit that we saw the first few weeks. We want to see that again because last week it just wasn't there. But one thing specifically that I saw on the defensive line was we weren't getting a whole lot of extension, meaning like whenever we got off the ball, we were worried about the guy in front of us and we were like too keyed in on beating the guard or their tackle or whatever and pushing them back and getting pressure. Because we got some I know that, real pressure is actually getting pressure like on the quarterback mentally, but like we were pushing them back and, we were getting that kind of pressure, but we wouldn't get off our blocks because a lot of times it looked like guys didn't even know where they were, and they didn't even know. Like a lot of times Deuce Vaughn would just run right by somebody, or Adrian Martinez would just run right by somebody because they aren't getting enough extension, so they can't see what's going on in the backfield or see what kind of play is going on. So that's something that this week we really gotta see, because if that defensive line really plays to their potential, they can be great, but just hope we can see it this week.
I just like to see us open the pass game a little bit earlier. I think the first 2 drives from the Kansas State game, we struggled because we didn't get the run going. And it felt like we're not able to throw the ball unless we ran the ball efficiently first, which I know a lot of times that's how football works. You run the ball, you establish that, you play action. But with the skill that we have, I'd like to see us at least, get some slants, do something to get Mims the ball early and get our playmakers the ball, even if we aren't running it the greatest, because our offensive line has struggled a little more this year than the offensive lines we've had in the past, and we may need to be able to come out passing the ball before we can establish the run sometimes, and depending on the defenses we go against. So I just like to see our passing open up before we have to have big runs.
All right, moving on to our next segment, college football or OU news. Kind of a tough day for Sooner Nation today with the loss of David Hicks to Texas A&M. I know we all feel some type of way about that, but I just kind of want to preface this with saying, don't be the idiot that's on Twitter yelling, cursing, saying this and that about like a kid. Like, one, you don't know like the full, like we see it through our OU lens, right? Why this is this place to be, all this, like A&M is A&M. But for him, he's being sold 2 different things, and it's up to him to choose what's best for him. Now, there's all sorts of speculation about NIL being a big deal.
Word on the street is he had 4 million reasons to go to A&M.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's legal.
Yeah,
now it's legal. There's no like, we can talk about how much we don't like it and how unconventional it is. But it's legal with the NIL legislation now, and it can rub everyone the wrong way, and that's fine. Like, Nick Saban was pissed off enough to go at Jimbo and just like start saying like that's not how you should play the recruiting game.
Yeah,
but
it's okay. He can go and he can chase the money, and he can follow the money and follow Texas A&M, and that's fine. And I'm gonna say it in a really passive aggressive way. Because I'm Mike Gundy.
I I don't see OU still trying to recruit him. I think if it was the other way around, A&M would absolutely be in the race until like signing day. But based off like BV and Todd Bates' recruiting strategy and kind of the rules they've set for themselves in the blueprint, I don't see them continuing to recruit him just because at this point it's become more than football, and that's what they want it to be. They're trying to recruit people whose main thing is football, and then the NIL stuff will come after. That's just kind of been OU's approach to it. Like they have a lot of NIL stuff in the works with collectives and stuff like that, but it's not out there yet. So far, like you see, like the offensive line in Hooters, hang time in, I forget what the dealership's name is, just literally like a couple like 100 yards from my house, but all these like small things, the strengthening Oklahoma, the Oklahoma Collective, Sooner Scoop did a thing with Isaiah Thomas last year. It's all small scale stuff. You don't see anyone in Norman with these $4 million whatever deals that have been alleged. It's just tough. Like when you decide to play the game this way and what OU believes the right way, there's going to be some drawbacks. In like the last 2 years, we've lost Gabe Dendy, Overton, and now Hicks to A&M. It's just it stings a little from the OU side, just knowing like what this team needs is those guys, and that's what they're missing from being at this level, the next level. And A&M can pretty consistently gets those guys, and I mean, hasn't done anything with them. I mean, they do have a great like sales pitch for defensive linemen with Myles Garrett and Von Miller and stuff like that. But I don't know. I'm just curious to hear you guys' thoughts. I'm pretty sure we're all kind of on the same page, but just I don't think any of us are out there on Twitter calling the dude out.
Someone on Twitter literally tagged him, like tagged Hicks, and just said "F you." And
Good.
I responded to it, and I just said, "This isn't it." I was like, "Don't act like this," and just being a horrible person because a kid made a decision that you don't like, that didn't benefit you. And that guy was like, responded again with the screenshot of it, like saying that Hicks told OU he was committed and then didn't tell them, and then made that announcement. He's like, "No, he screwed us over. F him." And people went after him after that, and he ended up deleting his tweets. So definitely he felt it. So I'm glad that most of OU Twitter is realizing like we're gonna be okay. David Hicks isn't the entire team for us. It's not our entire recruiting class. Like he chose not to come here. That's okay, And so it's fine if we don't get all the recruits we're hoping to get. It sucks. Like obviously we wanted him. We think he's gonna be a great player, but you can't blame him. You never know what's going to happen in your career. You never, even if you're 5-star, you don't really know if you're going to go to the NFL. Like there's a lot of variables that happen. And if someone is offering you a lot of money that is a guarantee that you can make now, that might be all you get for the rest of your life. So
I think a lot of people were upset because there was the initial report was that like he had told OU last night, and then they go into the ceremony thinking it's them. And he flips, but that's kind of been walked back now with a couple hours passing that someone from the OU staff has told some outlets that are around that he did call Todd Bates like 10 to 15 minutes before it went live on ESPN and told him that he was no longer going. So he did right by him. I mean, I can disagree with like the reasoning, but at the end of the day, it has nothing to do with me. Like
right,
my family, it's up to him. And if I'm being presented with the opportunities he is through NIL stuff there, I'm probably making the same call.
Yeah. Did y'all watch his announcement?
No.
He looked miserable. Like he didn't even look, if you go watch it though, like even his parents, like he looks like he's making the wrong decision, but it's like, I gotta do this. Like he doesn't seem excited at all. He seems like almost like, he doesn't really want to make this decision, but it's what he's got to do, kind of thing. And it's kind of weird to look at, but
I don't know,
Johnny,
what do you think?
So I've been following his recruitment for like 2 years now. I was honestly very, very surprised. So, like Noah said, we've lost Gabe Dindy and Overton last year, and like Overton's parents went to OU, so like we're at this point where we're literally losing legacy players to Texas A&M because of NIL deals. Like that's the thing. Again, I'm really glad that all of us are on the same page. Like, this is a kid. So to our listeners and to anybody on Twitter, like, this is a 17, 18-year-old kid. They're still a kid, even if you want to call them an adult at 18. Let's not act like we were all the smartest people at 18 years old. And I think that these young men are making some really smart decisions and hard decisions with what they're doing in their lives. But for him personally, I feel like when you are one of the best players in the country, and he's been looked at like that for a long time, you feel like you have to go maybe where the best players are now. But what I'm looking for from an OU perspective is our coaching. If you really look at the games that we've played against the best like competition, the only reason that we've lost some of those games, like the game to Clemson in 2015 and to Georgia, we lost to Georgia because of our own mistakes, and we lost to Clemson because of Deshaun Watson. Like, you're talking about next level players that change the game in the NFL, and that's like a 1 out of every 10 million players type player. So I'm not going to lose sleep over it. I'm happy for David Hicks. I wish him the best in his career. But I also know that we have some of the best coaches in the country. All 4 of us were elated when Brent Venables got hired to be our coach.
Yeah.
elite couches.
Yeah, and Jeff Lebby is in conversations as one of the best coordinators in the country, and like best offensive mind right behind Lincoln Riley. So we lose maybe the best offensive mind in the country and hire the second best, and then go hire the most touted defensive coordinator in the last decade. So if we give the players that we have now that have already competed at a national championship level a few years under that, and Summers with Schmitty, like, we're going to be there. We're going to be there. And Texas A&M has those players in their roster already from multiple years of recruiting well, and they lost to App State. So, like, anything can happen at any time. But the NIL stuff it's causing some issues, but it'll work out, and I think people will see where the real like culture and character comes from with OU.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off of like the coaches, like, I mean, Brent Venables, obviously, and then we got Todd Bates, and like football wise, especially as a defensive player, especially as a defensive lineman, OU is where to go right now, in my opinion. But you got to look at, like, there may be other stuff going on. Like, maybe I don't know anything about the kid. Maybe his family needs that money, and $4 million can't hurt, for a college kid playing football. But also, it's not like Texas A&M can't get him to where he wants to be, which is in the NFL. But there's always other stuff that could be going on in kids' lives, and you have to. I mean, I know that we're fans. I know that we're upset because we lost a recruit. Dang it! But like, that's all it needs to be. It doesn't need to be this personal thing. Like, we say, we wish he would have gone to OU, but good luck, and that's all it needs to be. So,
And they did
that's
say,
all I
he
gotta say.
said personally that one of his reasons for picking A&M is it's closer to home. Like, he's from Texas, it's closer to where he lives, closer to his family. Like, stuff like that matters, depending on the kid. Like,
A lot.
I've always been someone that wants to be around my family, and I've had some, even in my short professional career that I've had a couple like churches in my time from out of state asked me to apply or even interviewed with a couple of them, and every time I think about it, I'm like, man, I wouldn't want to move for my family, like even for that money and for what it is. Like, my family's here, and so that's matters to some people more than we think. Like, we just think they're gonna pick, we're the best, so you got to come here. But maybe it wasn't money. Maybe the dude really cares about his family and wants to be close. Like, you never know what's going on. I will say it was kind of wild. Johnny or Noah, you guys maybe could explain this. I had to look it up yesterday. I'm not near as much of recruiting guy as you guys are, but he got the crystal ball yesterday, and so everyone like really thought that he was going there. I don't know if one of y'all kind of want to explain what a crystal ball means for our listeners who are like me, that are a little more casual and aren't super familiar with that term. But
Yeah, so a crystal ball is basically saying you could follow like multiple reporting outlets and journalists, and they will put in their best guess as to where somebody's going to go. So on 247, which is the recruiting website I use most, basically people can go in and put a crystal ball, say I'm a player, like, okay, so Johnny Crater in 2014, and they can go in and say with a level 10 confidence or level like 1 confidence that I'm going to go play at OU. And basically the directors of those like recruiting sites have insane numbers of like not guessing, but getting information and like knowing where kids are going to go. So when a crystal ball comes out from like Steve Wiltfong, who's the head of player, like, what is his title? Sports recruiting for 247. Like, he's the head of 247 pretty much. When he puts out a crystal ball, it's like almost, I think it's like 89% that he's right, and he's made like thousands of picks. So when that happens, it basically means like that's where he's going. And if somebody flips, it's like pretty insane. So,
and that was the case today.
Yeah,
everyone had him crystal ball to OU.
Last night on Twitter, it was actually like trending in the U.S. the Hicks to Norman. Like, basically all of OU Twitter was sure he was coming, and they were tweeting Hicks to Norman and tagging, Peyton Bowen and other recruits in there that we were hoping that would help sway them. And so I think, everyone was just super excited last night seeing that. So I know that that's a bummer whenever you care about OU football. One of the things that Hicks said in his Instagram Live after his announcement is that he is going to start trying to get Peyton Bowen to come to A&M. So he said he's going to start actively recruiting him. So I'm just hoping OU jumps on that and that we don't take a hit on both those guys. That'd be a little tough, but
yeah, losing those guys would be awful, but there might be some redemption in that because OU is having open tryouts for walk-ons this week.
Yeah, let's talk about
any
that.
of you guys have any eligibility left?
I've got all my eligibility.
I got about 3 years left, so
I love think? I love that they put Baker Mayfield on the graphic because they're the only school that could do that. Oh, come be a walk-on and win the Heisman. Like, yeah, they put that on the flyer. Like, that's just that will never happen again.
Yes,
and
what did it
even
say?
in
Like,
Baker's situation,
be the next Heisman winner.
Yeah, like
that's
even in
wild.
Baker's situation, like he was a walk-on, but he wasn't a walk-on. Like, he didn't go try out. It's just like, oh yeah, we'll take you.
I told my boy. I tagged my boy Connor Nolan in it. He was the kicker for Bixby last year. I told him to get the leg warmed up, get out there and put him through the uprights. He was kicking 40s last year. He could walk on and be a backup kicker and maybe play someday. But shout out Connor Nolan.
He needs to do it. He'll be in Hang Time's vlogs, and then he can make the world get his merch.
Come on.
And him and I are boys, so we would have him on the pod. We'd have the hookup. Come on, Connor Nolan, get in there.
Yeah. Last kind of college football news I have for today. It's something that I do not miss. This report from Ryan Cartgee, he is the USC beat writer for the LA Times, says USC quarterback Caleb Williams was scheduled to speak with the media today after not being made available following his struggles on Saturday after the game. So basically, he was scheduled to meet after the game. They said, no, we're not going to have him. This week, you guys will get him Tuesday. And then today, the media shows up to find that a USC spokesperson saying Williams will not be joining us. Now, this is just insane. You're in LA, the biggest market in college football for sure, because New York's not anything to write home about with college football. And Caleb Williams is your program, and you won't even let him speak to the media. This kind of Lincoln's done this before, but normally it's freshmen. It's pretty crazy to think that he's doing this now to Caleb Williams, who has all the NIL deals and just like didn't play up to his standard on Saturday. There's nothing wrong with coming out and saying that, and I'm sure he'd be the first one to say it. I just don't get the reasoning behind not letting him speak.
Well, if I'm being honest, the reasoning I think would be that Lincoln Riley just doesn't really know how to defend his players, if we're being honest. I mean, we got crocodile tears when he leaves OU, and I think he would have crocodile tears in front of some reporters after a bad game, quote unquote. I don't know. I really don't think it's Caleb Williams. I think he followed his coach that recruited him out there, but we all know who's behind this. I'm trying to be nice about it. I don't want to, but I'm going to be nice about it.
I mean, he's just a control freak. I mean, good Lord. He if it was up to him, he would have the OU journalism students that were on the building across the street. He would have them thrown in jail and prosecuted. I mean, am I wrong? Like,
there's just something about Lincoln and not letting your best player and leader of your team speak to the media. Like, I feel like the last time we saw someone...
Here, we're going to give you the tight end today after a tight loss or a tight win over Oregon State. We're giving you our tight end today.
It, reminds me of how Texas A&M was with Johnny Manziel. Like, whenever he first started popping off and getting on everyone's radar, and they were calling him Johnny Football, and everyone thought he was the innocent farm boy, but they wouldn't let him do any interviews or anything, and people were like, why are we not hearing from this guy? Like, he's a Heisman favorite. And it's like same thing with Caleb Williams. He's one of the biggest name quarterbacks in the NCAA right now, and not hearing
Johnny Football probably would have been talking pretty reckless up there on the podium after games.
Oh, absolutely. He would have put Jameis Winston to shame.
Yeah. You guys have anything else for college football news this week?
Yeah, I wanted to bring up a game that was just wild this week. I don't know how many people saw it. It's not teams that people usually think of, but Warner University. They have a football team. Didn't know that till this, but Warner played Stephen F. Austin, and Stephen F. Austin beat them 98-0.
Hey, Stone Cold Stephen F. Austin.
Absolute
murderers out there. That's disrespectful. Do we know any details as far as how long did they keep in their starters, or were their second and third string just going in? Do we know anything about that?
They played everyone pretty early. They were rotating people out. Warner's just that bad. And so they scored that last touchdown that put them to 98 points whenever there was still 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And so they had the chance to go for two. They lined up as if they were going to go for two, and then they just took the knee. It's instead of going for two. And so everybody, I was pretty upset, honestly, too, because you have the chance. You're already beating them 98-0. It doesn't make a difference. Go for two and make it 100. If you're going to beat a team that bad at this point, you obviously didn't take it easy. Go
Well,
for 2 and score 100. You know.
hold on.
Honestly, okay, so if I'm Warner, it's even worse that they're taking their foot off the gas with 7 minutes left. Like, I would respect it if they just kept like beating us, but when they they throw
looks
out
like
of
you guys have
bounds
had
or just
enough. It's
taking me-
98-0.
Yeah, like that's even worse. Just the 7 minutes you have to sit there and just watch them not try. Like, just put me out of my misery at that point. Just
Listen,
run it up.
I think I would quit football if I was on a college team and we lost 98-0.
So,
Well, what level is Warner? Because Stephen F.
That's-
Austin's like they're not low.
that's FCS, right?
D2.
I
No,
didn't
no,
actually look up what
D1
Warner is.
double A, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stephen F. Austin. Is Warner the same thing?
I think so.
Oh man.
But that's the thing. Is
Stephen
if
F.
it's
Austin, we'd love to have you in the Big 12.
Stone
And
Cold
Stone
Steve
Cold
Austin, we'd love
Stephen
to have
F.
you on the
Austin.
podcast.
Stone Cold actual Steve
get him in
Austin.
the Big 12.
Actual
him
Stone
in the
Cold
Big
Steve
12.
Austin. You're my hero. But hey, here's the thing. If you guys, I know you guys watched Last Chance U. We know like East Mississippi used to beat the crap out of people like 80-0 because the way that it was set up was it was on like a point system. So that could be a reason why they just kept going. But I don't know anything about FCS or D1 double A.
That'd be awesome.
Go, Buddy
if they
Stevens.
needed
Go,
89.
Tigers. I love you.
No, Lions.
Oh, Lions. Sorry. Go EMCC,
EMCC
Lions. Buddy Stevens.
Go Miss Wagner too. We'd love to have you on the
Mississippi
podcast.
Slim, I love you.
Can I borrow a pencil?
Shout out to Mississippi Slim
Hey,
from
Miss
season
Wagner,
2.
let me get a pencil.
But
All right. Well, I think that's going to bring us into my new favorite episode, my new favorite segment, words. My new favorite segment that we started last week, the Power 5. So this week, our Power 5, if you're not familiar with Power 5, if you missed last week's episode, we basically make a top 5 tier list of different categories. And so we have some fun with it. Last week, we did Power 5 head coaches, college football head coaches you would want on your side in a fight. And we had a ton of fun with that. This week, Power 5 is top 5 things Oklahomans love. So not necessarily OU fans, not necessarily sports in general, but just 5 things that everyone in Oklahoma loves. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. Do you guys want to we'll just have each person do their 5 lists, because we're not doing a draft style. You can repeat an answer if that's on your 5. So someone can just go through their 1 through 5. Who wants to start us off here with their list?
I'll start us out.
Okay,
I don't
come on.
really want to take mine. All right. The first thing Oklahomans love are good old Thunder.
come on. Oh yeah.
Bedlam divides people. The Thunder unites them.
Oh yeah.
Some years more than others, but they're Oklahoma. It's what we do. Okay. The next thing Oklahomans love is BC Clarks.
What is that?
Everyone, are you kidding me?
I don't
I
know.
also
what that
don't know
is.
what BC Clarks is.
Johnny, are you kidding
What is
me?
that?
3 out of the 4 Oklahomans here don't even know BC Clarks.
Gosh. This has got to end up on social media or something. Someone's going to have to correct you guys.
I have no clue.
It
Is
is
this
a
a Tulsa
jewelry
thing?
store. No, it's a jewelry store. They have the jingle every year at Christmas.
What is it?
We're
guys-
too poor to even care about jewelry. We can't buy that. If it's not out of the back of
Okay,
someone's
well-
trunk and a Quick Trip, that's how we get that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's a segue into my next thing. Oklahomans love Quick Trip.
Hey, okay, that's a good one.
Yeah. Quick Trip is goated.
Just
Not a
the-
better gas
just-
station out there.
Well, Busey's is better, but
Hey,
that's
I
beside the
love
point.
Brucey's.
Bucky's.
I guess Quick Trip would be
Swissys.
like a half because it's only in Tulsa, but the ones they're being built in Oklahoma City soon, so I'm gonna leave that on there. All right, so for my fourth one, Oklahomans love their favorite meteorologist. People get territorial over it. Joe is the biggest Travis Meyer fan I know.
Yes.
Hold on a second. If
He's
you're
on
not
my
going to say
list.
Travis Meyer,
He's not.
we might have
He's
a
not
problem.
going to say him.
It's
You're gonna see.
not.
You're gonna
It's
say that.
right
You
here.
say that stupid David.
That
Payne.
skinny white guy down in OKC.
David Payne? What do you mean?
That
He's
yeah,
not
that
thinking
loser
of
down in
Travis
OKC.
Meyer. Yeah, he's in the bigger market. He's the cream of the crop.
Not a
Travis
chance.
Meyer's the GOAT.
They're sister stations, and Travis Meyer's stuck in Tulsa for a reason.
Travis
Listen.
Meyer.
Travis Meyer chose
All right.
Tulsa.
That's not how that works.
Storms.
Okay, and the last thing Oklahomans love. Hold on tight. Branson.
God.
Oh,
It
you picked the
is-
thing.
That's
I
It
was-
is
funny.
the tourist
Oh my
destination of the Midwest.
It's so
for
true.
us. It's like you have a 3-day weekend. Let's go up to Branson, catch a show, ride a ride, visit some shops.
Feel gross.
Yeah,
Feel
watch
gross for
the
72
Hague.
hours.
Go to
Yeah.
Silver Dollar City, hang out with a bunch
Exactly.
of homeschooled kids, eat a
Well,
bunch
yeah,
of
watch
cinnamon
the Hague
rolls and
show
fudge,
for
and
the
then throw
18th
up.
time.
Yep. I'm so excited. I put in some vacation days coming up, and my wife and I are just gonna go up and when the Christmas stuff starts and see the shows. I love the shows.
I will
I
say
hate
I did.
plays, but I love the shows. They're lit.
Yeah, I went to Silver Dollar City for the first time around Christmas last year, and it was actually way cooler than I thought. So.
Christmas is insane there. It's awesome.
love it.
Who's
That's your
next?
top five.
I'll
There's
go
Noah's
next.
Top five.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
I'll
hit
go
us with
next.
it, Joe.
All right, coming in at number 5 on my list, we got the great outdoors. Something that kind of defines our state and the people that live here. What?
Pick all of the outdoors and nature.
What? Just
All
yeah.
of the outdoors define the people that live there.
No. I'm
Pick
talking
the
about
entire anywhere outside of a building in the entire world.
no.
That's what
not the great
Oklahomans love.
outdoors. That's not the
That
great.
dirt
The great
is
outdoors is
awesome.
like okay. To be more specific, hunting, fishing, camping, stuff like that. Like Oklahomans love that.
Okay.
We're one of the
Pickleball. Yeah.
pickleball if you want.
Pickleball.
But yeah, there's a bunch of Oklahomans that love to hunt and fish. I enjoy fishing. I'm not a big hunter, but all right. Number 4 on my list is going to Walmart for fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, going to Walmart for fun. It's one of those things that, to be honest, I don't think I could live in a world where there's not Walmart to go to late at night and just walk around and not buy anything and then walk out. I've done it with these guys a few times. It's a good time.
Mhm.
I love going to Target with Johnny.
No.
Oh,
I was gonna say for us married men, Target is brought up a lot to go to, but if you go there, you're spending way too much money, and the people are much more interesting at Walmart.
Yeah, see, my
Not if you
wife
go with
spends a
Johnny.
lot of money at Target, so I try to stay away. I try to go to Walmart instead. But number 3 on my list is speeding on I-44. If we all do it, then they're not going to pull us all over.
Yeah.
I love it. I think we all have a big unspoken communication.
Yeah,
about
tell me
that.
why
I think
an
it's
interstate is speed limit 60. It's a highway. God, yeah, that was a good one, Joe. I'm fired up now. Go ahead.
Yeah. And then number 2 on my list is deep. This is another one of those that like you guys are gonna say, oh, you picked all of something. Now, just hear me out. Deep fried foods, specifically chicken fried steak and fried catfish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Johnny's getting after it.
Shut up,
I think
Bobos.
I stole
They do
one of
both.
his.
No, I just love both of those so much.
I know it's the best. I love this list. And my number one thing is those cups that we all collect at Hideaway and Coney Islander and Eskimo Joe's.
Yeah.
And all those places.
Everyone has a whole cabinet of cups.
Yep.
Everyone has those cups.
That's our fine china.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know
our
about you guys newlyweds, but
yeah.
that's fine china. Right
Got a
here.
bunch of different colors. That's how you know. Oh, that yellow one's my cup. That
Yeah.
green one's my cup.
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma
yeah.
Joe's.
That's a good one, Joe. I didn't think about that when I was
Yeah.
doing my list.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my list. Who's
All right,
next?
well, I'll go
Johnny.
next. We'll let Johnny finish it off. I'll go ahead and go next.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll finish it off.
Yeah. So my list, number 1, top of my list, Larry the Cable Guy.
God dang it. No.
Everyone in Oklahoma. Listen, if
He's
you
a
remember,
Nebraska fan.
hold on, you got to give me a little bit of time here. If you just think back to middle school, whenever we were in middle school, whenever the Blue Collar Comedy Tour was popular, everybody thought Larry the Cable Guy was hilarious. Joe used to dress up as him for Halloween. I know Joe's dad loves him. I know my grandma loved him. I know everyone of every age in Oklahoma thought something he said was funny because he's one of us. He's dumb redneck that says funny stuff, and Oklahoma just loved him. Number 2, for me, saying "ope," something everyone in Oklahoma loves. Oh,
it's one of the worst habits of mine.
Yep.
And my wife is from Texas and doesn't understand it. And I'll be walking in a door and someone will walk in front of me and I'm like, oh. And she's like, what is that?
That's like your way. That's
Our
our way of saying,
what does she
excuse
do?
me, or sorry if you bump into someone.
I don't know what she says, to be honest.
What do people that don't say "ope" do? Do they just
say,
not say
excuse
anything?
me, I guess.
Pardon me.
Yeah. Sir, pardon me. But you just hit him with a and you scoot right around. So that's number 2 for me. Number 3 is kind of a twofer. I may have cheated a little bit here, and it kind of went off of what Joe said. But number 3 is Friday Night Lights. Oklahoma, small town Oklahoma, big town Oklahoma, everywhere goes to a Friday night football game. But immediately following, this is shout out for high school students, junior high, high school, and maybe some weird college students that never grow up. Immediately following Friday Night Lights, going to Whataburger or Walmart and sitting in the parking lot until the police kicks you out. So those are things Oklahoma people love to do. Number 4 for me is the extended goodbye.
Dang it.
I think we all know what we're talking about. You see a family member, you see friends, anything like that. And I'm hanging out with Johnny, and I'm like, all right, Johnny, I got to get home. I'm going to head out. And he's like, all right, man, let me walk you to the door. I'll open it, lock the door, and stand up, say
2-hour
goodbye.
conversation.
Yeah, get outside. And Johnny's like, all right, man, it's good to see you. I'm like, yeah, it's good to see you. And then we talk for another 30 minutes standing at my car before we say goodbye. That's everyone in Oklahoma. You got to say goodbye 4 times, and it's a 30 to 45-minute process at least.
Yeah.
And then number 5, probably should have flipped it. This one probably should have been number 1. I think I was saving best for last year, but tornado watching or tornado chasing. Everyone in Oklahoma, if you're not from Oklahoma, you probably don't understand this. We really do think it's normal, and we hear other people tell us we're crazy. But if a tornado warning is happening, you go outside and you watch for it. Like, you're like, all right, this weather's starting to feel nice. Obviously, we don't love the tornado whenever it comes through. We're not saying that at all. But you want to watch it until you're like, all right, that could hit me. And then you go inside and you take cover. But if we could just stay out there and watch tornadoes, the Oklahomans love that.
In college, we'd have like guys on the football team and like basketball team. Like, I had to do on the basketball team from like Ukraine, somewhere over there, and then like guys on the football team from California, and even my wife is from Texas. And we would have like these storm watches and everything, and it's tracking through Shawnee, and I'm just outside like in a lawn chair on the balcony, just watching it all come through. And they're like freaking out, like they said, you if you're not under cover or in a shelter now, it's too late. I'm like, nah, I know, like you can tell when it's like, okay, I need to leave. But
I remember as a kid going
can
outside like
see the
with
tornado.
my mom, and we would get in the car and drive closer to see them. And then if they started moving towards us, like, all right, we better go back home.
I used to try and beg my dad to let me out on the roof to like see it until it gets close to go inside.
Dad, let me die. Come on. But yeah, that's my top 5. Johnny, let's hear it. What
Johnny,
you got?
let's hear it.
All right. I went back and forth on a lot of these. These aren't necessarily my favorite. The question was people from Oklahoma. Okay, keep that in mind.
Yeah.
And this is not a tiered list. It's just 5 things, not number 1. It's just 5. The first thing on the list, though, is rolling coal with their diesel trucks. Oklahomans love to roll coal in their diesel trucks. Listeners, if you don't know what I'm talking about, have you ever seen a diesel truck blow black smoke? Yes. Well, they can do that on command, and they do in school parking lots a lot. Second thing is the 4th of July. Oklahomans love the 4th of July. It's just the pinnacle of drinking, being dangerous with pyrotechnics. Yeah, people just love that. Get to eat.
I will say, Kevin Durant did put a little bit of curse on the 4th of July for us. Every year, I have to think back to him announcing that he was leaving the Thunder on the 4th of July. So, hate him for that. Yep. Sorry, go ahead.
That's fine. It's fine. Third on the list is a not so local chain, but people that aren't from here don't get it. Oklahomans love Brahms.
Ooh. Yep. Come on with it.
Just a good ice cream spot. They do have good food. I don't want to hear it from my wife who tells me their food's not good. Brahms has great fries. Their burgers are great. Chicken tenders with gravy, Joe. That's got us through some hard times.
Give me some.
Absolutely.
There's something to be said for getting a shake free, too.
Yeah.
You go to Freddy's and you want to change your drink to a shake, it's costing you $4.
Yeah.
They ask you what shake you want with your meal. You have to substitute it for a drink. That's next level.
This one was the funniest one I thought of, in my opinion. Oklahomans love to argue over barbecue.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily that we all love barbecue, but we love telling each other which one is better than which. And even people that aren't, very knowledgeable about food want to give their opinion about barbecue. And the last one, this one was for all the times that Joe and I just had to kill so much time. Oklahomans love the Bass Pro and Broken Arrow.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Come on.
Just
the squad hat. That's where you buy the squad hat.
That could be
everyone
a
in our friend group
for Oklahoma.
And shout out to the Bass Pro in Bricktown too. You don't feel quite as at home to me, but I still love you.
I love your free parking for Thunder games.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's my top 5.
Wow, I think that was a strong week of Power 5. Really getting in there with our Oklahoma fans. A little love for all of Oklahoma and what they're doing.
Okay, guys. Are you ready for Joe's question of the week?
Oh, man.
I guess. I hope it's better
after
than
last week.
I wanted to throw up. I can't lie.
I don't know if I trust you.
Okay, this one's not gross. It's just it'll be a fun question to answer, I think. Would you rather be attacked by chihuahuas every time you walk outside, or OU hire Mike Stoops as head coach?
Chihuahuas. I'm punting those things left and right.
How many chihuahuas? If you can get over it.
There's just a herd of chihuahuas that are constantly looking for you, and the second you step outside, they're on you.
Can I kill them?
Yeah, how much is a herd? I'm not gonna fight a whole thing of chihuahuas every time I go outside, but if I can just kick them and they'll leave me alone.
They keep coming.
Okay.
They keep coming.
If I kill all of them, does a new one respawn?
Here's the thing. It not necessarily respawn, but they just keep coming. they
I'll take
smell
Mike
you and they're like, I
Stoops.
hate Johnny. I hate him. And and they go get you and they bite your ankle, and it's pretty annoying.
Uh,
Whenever
Pretty
I
simple
lived with
answer here for me. Sorry. Pretty simple answer here for me. I love OU. It's one of my favorite hobbies, but I would not make my life miserable for OU. So I would take Mike Stoops as a head coach and stop caring about college football, then have Chihuahuas attack me every time I go outside. That's not a thing.
so yeah, I lived with a guy for a little bit that there was our next door neighbor had a Chihuahua, and there was this little tiny little hole in the bottom of the fence that the little thing would get out of, and every single time I walked to my car, he'd come bite me on the ankle. So, Johnny, you probably remember this. Until one time, I accidentally kind of kicked him. Uh, Probably like 5 yards, and I didn't hurt him, but
Joe.
I made my listen. I didn't hurt him. I didn't hurt him, but I made my presence known, and he got up,
My dog.
and it looked like he respected me, and he walked off, and he never bothered me again.
He gave you a
So-
nod.
Golly.
He said,
He was like, okay, that's what I just wanted to know if you were about it. But anyway, I have experience kicking Chihuahuas, and I'll do anything for you, Sooner Nation. So, yeah, I'll take the Chihuahuas. Johnny, Noah, what are your answers?
I guess theoretically I could like get a machete and keep it by the door, so when I need to walk to the car, I could just start swinging.
Yeah,
Is Johnny?
But this is anytime you're outside.
it's any time.
I guess I'll stay strapped. You know.
Yeah.
As Johnny can experience, I basically have that problem now when I walk to my car. For reasons beyond my control, we have what someone calls sticker, or like the little thorns, just everywhere in the yard, and I can't maintain the yard. I would if I could. It's against like our lease that like he has to perform it. So, and so we're ready to move. But it's
Shout out
pretty-
Noah's landlord.
anytime-
He's about to move.
I tried. I tried that, but Johnny experienced it firsthand on Saturday. Just they get tracked inside, stick in the carpet, and then you're walking to the kitchen for some water in the middle of the night, and then you just want to die because you've got 5 stickers in your foot.
yeah.
My dad came in and just was like, "Yeah, can I use your bathroom?" I was like, "Yeah, that's fine." Just walks through the house with the shoes on, just destroying the carpet. So we're still in the process of getting those up, but I'm gonna go ahead and say I'll find a way to deal with the dogs, and if I had to see a 3rd and 3 with the corners played 15 yards back, I would probably just end it all. So,
Yep. Johnny?
Well, as our listeners know, last week I chose to eat the bowl of poop so that we could win the national championship.
I was praying we would not hear that word.
Yeah, don't
this
even
week,
bring it
but
up.
There you go.
So, best believe I'm staying strapped. Machete might be a nice touch because the Chihuahuas are coming after me. I want them to know they're gonna die. But yeah, I'm choosing the Chihuahuas.
Johnny's alarm goes off in the morning. He goes to the kitchen and gets him a bowl of you know what for breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
And as he's walking to the car, he's having to fend off the Chihuahuas. That sounds like
So we don't have Mike Stoops, and we're winning national championships with Johnny, bringing in the natties.
Mm-hmm.
Come
I'm
on.
about it.
All right, guys, it is time for everyone's favorite segment, Bets with the Boys. All right. Let's save the recap. Christian, I don't know if you have those numbers pulled up. but like the standings for the end, and we'll go over that at the end.
Okay.
I think we all had bad weeks last week. I don't know our records off the top of my head, but it was rough for pretty much all of us. So, all right, starting off as usual with the OU game. OU is a 6.5 point favorite at TCU.
Yeah, I think we're mad. I think we're going to get it in check this week. I think we're going to come out swinging. And I think what's the spread?
6.5.
Yeah, we're covering that and then some. It's not going to be just
Can't wait to hear Johnny's prediction of how many times we'll cover. Christian, what's your pick on this?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna roll with OU. I don't expect TCU. Gosh, I hate just last week's just messing with my mind. I just don't
It
expect.
sucks when we're all on the same side of it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Christian.
Yeah, I just don't expect
Pick TCU.
TCU. No, I'm not doing that. I'm going with OU. I just don't expect TCU to be near. They just don't have the playmakers that K-State had, so I just can't see it. I can't see it going like that. But obviously, I mean, we didn't really think Martinez was that great of a playmaker, and he had the game of his life against us. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I mean, I still feel pretty confident. It's just always hard coming off of a loss, but I still feel pretty confident that OU wins and covers.
I'm rolling with you guys. I think the same, just for a lot of the reasons you guys said, but I think the defense shows out and the defensive line has a good day. I would also, although the streak's over, I would like to think the defensive backs can take one from Duggan, but regardless, I think OU wins by at least 7. Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know, actually. Like that, Christian's right. This game just really does have me kind of shook a little bit. But
Go ahead, Johnny.
You know what?
Go ahead.
I trust
Pick TCU.
I trust friend of the pod, Reggie Grimes, to hold it down. Mm-hmm. And speaking of down, I think downtime is going to go off. And speaking of time, I think hang time may not even make it on the field. So I'm going with the triple cover, boys.
And hang time, I'm sorry.
Dime time.
Hang time.
How can you forget about dime time?
Oh,
I'm sorry. Hang time. I just like to say, you're already known as the nation's best punter. Everybody knows it.
Yeah,
you know
Pat
it. We
McAfee
know
was
it.
Pat McAfee was tweeting during the game.
Yeah,
the British guy that sits behind Johnny and Noah was talking about.
He's the bloody best punter.
Yeah, everybody knows it. So this game, I don't want to see a lot of hang time. I want to see some offensive explosions.
Yeah, I think they probably got some really good couching this week. I think the couches probably really hammered into them for all their mistakes, and I think we'll see an improvement through the couching that they experienced. So,
for sure. Next game, staying in the Big 12, Baylor is a 1.5 point favorite at home against OSU.
Yeah,
I'll jump on this one first, I guess.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think, it's a tough pick because Baylor is at home, which makes me want to side with Baylor. But then I also think about their strengths. A big one is their offensive line and how they kind of pushed us around last year whenever we played them and didn't expect that. But then I look back over at OSU's defensive line and just seeing the 30-year-old grown men that they have all the way across their defensive line. I think I'm going to go ahead and pick. Oh, I hate to say it. I don't even like this. I'm gonna pick OSU. I just think Spencer Sanders is the better quarterback in this matchup, at least so far from what we've seen this year. I know they haven't played super great opponents either, but low key kind of hope OSU loses so I can message Matt Sanders and be like, "Look what happens when you play a real opponent," because that's what he sent me after we played K-State. But
that makes me want to change my answer.
I'm gonna pick OSU. But if they lost, you will not hear me complain about that pick. So,
Johnny,
what's the spread again? I'm sorry.
One and a
Gosh
half.
dang it.
So,
That's such a close matchup.
it's tough. It's really tough.
Here's the thing. Christian's right. Baylor is at home. And I really think that makes a difference because we went into Baylor last year thinking that we were just going to roll, and that didn't happen. So I think I'm going to take Baylor in this one to beat the Pokes at home and to cover. So, yeah.
That's kind of the side I'm on too. I like Oklahoma State's defense. Baylor's defense is also good. You never know which Spencer Sanders you're gonna get. This year he's been really good, but we know what he is. Like, he's streaky. When they face a little adversity against a really good defensive team like Baylor, and how Dave Aranda's going to game plan to kind of neutralize what he's great at is just playmaking. I think they can force an interception or two and ultimately come away with the win.
So you're picking Baylor?
Yeah, I'm taking Baylor at home.
Okay, I have it written down here that I was going to pick Oklahoma State to cover. I don't want to anymore because of what Matt Sanders said to Christian. I'm just going to pick. I'm going to say Baylor covers. Baylor wins the game. And because I want Christian to be able to say that back to Matt Sanders. Shout out to Matt Sanders. We'd love to have you on the podcast. He's an OSU fan.
We might have to. We have a lot of close friends that are OSU fans that as Bedlam gets closer, or even during a bye week, we might have to start having them on as some guests.
Bro, there's three things in this world, though: death, taxes, and Matt Sanders trolling you anytime your team loses. I could not talk to. I know he listens to our podcast, so I know I'm not even like throwing him under the bus because he has been messaging me about it. So Matt, we do appreciate the support, but I could not talk to Matt for like a year and a half, and OU could lose in something, and he's gonna make sure that I saw it and that he tells me about it. That's just Matt.
So, Johnny, you've met Matt, I believe, right? Yeah. So we all know Matt. Johnny and Joe know him pretty well. I lived with him for a while. Matt Sanders, as Joe said, Christian said,
my name's
the king
Christian.
of trolling. Yeah, the king of trolling. He also, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Tim the Tapman jinx, but basically anything Tim the Tapman says, sports related, the opposite happens. Matt has a little bit of that in him too. So he was texting in a group text I'm in with him during the game in the first quarter when it was 14-0.
Yeah, that's whenever I got the message.
The fact that he probably has a list in his notes of OU fans. He's just like, but the fact that he sent that at 14-0 gave me a little hope. I was like, okay, his takes are always wrong. He's always just in the wrong side of things, and he's just not an educated.
You're trying to say
fan.
He's kind of dumb?
Yeah. He has dumb sports takes.
Okay.
So it gave me a little hope. Ultimately, OU fell short, so he was kind of proven right in that. But at the same time, I'm interested. I think Kansas State could just as easily be OSU this year. The Big 12's kind of that way.
Oh, I hope Kansas State destroys OSU this year. I can't wait to text
65-0.
Yeah. I purposely didn't respond to him. He texted me in the first quarter, like, look what happens when you play a real team. And we started to come back. And so I just didn't open the message. I was like, I'm waiting until the end of this game whenever we've won.
The thing is, we're not texting him when OSU chokes. And they do that a lot.
Now we are.
We don't care.
Yeah,
we don't care.
Yeah, now
but
we are.
All I responded with at the end of the game was
Matt Sanders.
True.
One of Matt Sanders' favorite sayings is rent free. But when he doesn't realize that it's him that is, we are.
Yes, we're in his head rent free. Oh,
we're in his head rent free.
I would just like to say
it's just that classic little brother thing, you know?
Yeah.
We do love
Absolutely.
you, Matt Sanders, though.
I
You
would
are the
just like
ultimate
to
troll,
say-
but it's a troll of love.
I would just like to say that I do like for all the for I mean, if there's any Oklahoma State fans listening, I do try whenever you're not playing OU or Tulsa. I
I'm
try.
the same way. Yeah.
I try to like be positive and be like, you know what? Let's root for them. My wife
Mhm.
is an Oklahoma State alumni. I try to be really supportive whenever they're not playing OU. They're not playing my team. But it's people like Matt Sanders. It's the trolls
It
that
really
have that like,
is.
man, I might be on the outside rooting for them to win against Baylor or
Mhm.
whoever they're playing, but on the inside I'm like, "Oh, I hope they lose. I really hope they lose so they'll shut up."
But also, I mean,
know?
he gets what he wants because we just spent 5 minutes talking about him on our OU podcast. So shout out Matt
I
Sanders.
just texted him. I said, because he passed me on the highway earlier. So I've been texting him today. I just said, our podcast just went in on you for about 5 minutes. Make sure you listen to the podcast.
Shout out to
Shout
Matt
out Matt
Sanders. We love
Sanders.
you. We'd love to have you on the podcast.
Did everyone make their pick on that game? I know Matt kind of derailed that conversation, but
Yeah, we all got it in. Joe was the last one there.
all right. So going from Big 12 to our future conference, the SEC, Alabama is favored by 17.5 points at Arkansas.
Yeah.
Alabama, Arkansas.
Ooh.
Yeah. I don't think there's any way that Alabama doesn't cover.
Really?
Yeah. I think they got their kind of stinker out of the way against Texas. I don't think
It sounds real
I
familiar.
think they win by 20 plus.
It sounds just like Noah week 2 whenever Alabama and Texas had to play.
I was wrong on that, and I'll die on that hill picking against Texas. But
With that being said, Noah,
yeah.
I will also go with Alabama.
Roll Tide. Yeah.
yeah. I'm picking Alabama to cover the spread. I told you guys last week whenever I had to pick between Arkansas and A&M that I hated it. I don't like Arkansas. Hope they lose.
Hey.
Go Alabama.
Sam Pittman, he's an absolute hoss. And he's a boss. And he's in charge.
Would you say
And
he's him?
He's him. He's that
Oh.
dude right now. He is doing some work over there. That program, it's on the up and up. They are doing some great things. KJ Jefferson, absolute unit. They have former Sooner Jaden Hazelwood. They got some guys. And I think that they're not Alabama. Alabama covers. Johnny, what do you think?
I'm thinking really hard about this right now, actually. I'm contemplating picking Arkansas to win, actually.
Go ahead, Johnny.
To win?
To win.
Do it. Just go.
You're
ahead and
not
do it.
saying to
Just
cover.
do
To
it.
cover.
Give-
I don't think they win by
No,
17.
give them your quadruple cover trash that's never worked
Whoa.
before. Let's do it. Just do it.
You're
I'm not sure.
trash, Johnny.
I don't know. I think this is a trap game.
I mean, 17.5's a lot. If you think it's a close game, there's some value there.
Yeah, but I'm saying for Arkansas to win.
Well, that's not what we're picking.
Yes, we are. We're picking who wins and how much they cover by. That's what we're picking.
I'm not picking wins. I'm just picking the spread.
Whatever, bro. Okay, well, I'm gonna go with the under then, and I think Alabama wins, but they don't cover. So less than 17 or 17.5, whatever it is.
He's picking Arkansas to cover the spread.
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
I mean, if you think about it, it's really not that crazy. They really do. Arkansas has played really, really well. I don't legitimately think that Alabama's winning by 3 touchdowns. I just don't think that.
I won't be mad. I definitely won't be mad if you're right, because I kind of like Arkansas.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, it's just showing us a picture. He's ugly.
Yeah, it's KJ Jefferson and his. I don't even know. Just KJ Jefferson. Joe, we're just gonna go kind of around the horn here. What is your wild card pick of the week?
So I got NC State Clemson. Clemson is a 6.5 favorite. I'm right about that, right? Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna go with a logical pick here. I think it could go either way. Big game, number 5, number 10, but I think Clemson comes out on top and covers. So yeah,
Christian.
All right, this week I've picked them I think 3 times. This team, one of their games 3 times since we started this, but I'm gonna go Texas Tech, Kansas State. We're gonna keep it in the Big 12 here with these teams going here. I'm mad at Kansas State. Don't like what they did last week. I really just don't think Kansas State even attempted to prepare a game plan for Tulane. I think they knew the OU game was their Super Bowl, and they spent 2 weeks preparing for OU and probably the entire offseason and everywhere, because if they beat OU, that's how they get recruits. But that being said, I think they're not ready for Tech either. I don't think they really spent any time. I think everything went into OU, and now they're trying to catch up on Tech. Tech's been playing well. Their offense is going crazy. People have been talking about Kansas State having a good defense, but Tech allows less yards per game than they do. I say only, but they only have allowed 99 rush yards a game. And so if they can do that to K-State, then they're good. Like, if they can hold them even just to 100 yards rushing, they're good. So I think they saw that the way that Adrian Martinez and K-State can win is to just stop Adrian Martinez from running. Like, if you can contain him from running, make him beat you with his arm. He's only got 2 passing touchdowns on the year. Like, make him throw, make him throw, make him throw. I think Tech's going to do that. I think it's still going to probably be a high-scoring game. They're both averaging over 30 points a game. But I'm going to pick Tech to win, which actually they're not the favorite here, so that covers the spread. So I'll just say Tech cover the spread on a 7.5.
All right. And then my game of the week is Wake Forest versus Florida State. I'm actually going to watch this game all the way through. I'm really excited to see how these two teams perform. Florida State's been playing better than they have pretty much since they're in the national championship. They've been playing really, really well. But Wake Forest has Sam Hartman, and he's pretty much a top 5 QB prospect for the draft this next year. He's got almost 1,000 yards already and thrown 13 touchdowns. But Jordan Travis, the quarterback for Florida State, has performed really well. He has almost the same amount of yards, but he only has 5 touchdowns. I don't know, man. It's going to be a close game, but the spread is 6.5 Wake Forest. And I think I'm going to take Wake Forest to cover that. They put up 45 points against Clemson and still lost, but if you can put 45 on Clemson, you're going to do that to Florida State. So Wake Forest to cover.
For mine, I'm going to also stick in the Big 12. Texas is a 9.5 point favorite against West Virginia. I think that is way too low, even on the road. Or no, they're at home. Yeah, especially at home. There's a lot of talk that Quinn Ewers is back this week. He's been practicing. Him and Hudson Card are splitting first team reps. Even if it is Hudson Card that goes in this one, and they save Ewers for the Red River week prep, I think that West Virginia's pretty bad, and I think Texas is a lot better. They have a lot better athletes. a lot more firepower. And guys, I don't know about you, but Bijan's been pretty quiet this year for being, like, arguably, I think he is the best running back in the country. He just, you don't see a lot from him. Like, he's consistent, like, but
yeah,
I don't know. I just think he has a big day, runs for like 200. Hudson Card gets it done with his legs and through the air. Xavier Worthy gets going. I think they just steamroll West Virginia. Christian, do you have the updated standings that we can share?
Yeah, I do.
Before we get on out of here.
So, we did all kind of have a bad week. I thought I went 1-3 until like Sunday, and then I was pleasantly surprised to look at the spread for the Hogs A&M game and realize that I was the only one that actually got that right just because I picked the Hogs to cover the spread. So, got really lucky there with it just being such a close game. Even though I didn't get the winner right, I picked them to win, but that's all right. We just go off the spread. So here's what I got rolling in to this next week. At 4th place right now, we got Johnny. Johnny is 7-9.
Crazy
Not awful,
Crater.
but Crazy Crater is on a losing record right now.
come on.
Tied for 2nd and 3rd is Noah and Joe at 8-8. They're an even 500.
There you go.
They would not have gained any money, but they're not losing money either. So even 500 there. And in 1st place, been there all season, not giving up the crown anytime soon. You got the Christian Moore at 9-7.
One of
champion of the college football picks.
One of us is gonna have a 4-0 week and take the.
And it'll be me, and I'll
take
extend
the
my
lead
lead
one of these weeks. All right. Anything else before we get out of here?
I hate Christian.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody always
I don't
hates
like
the
him.
winners. Nobody likes the Patriots whenever they win, 5 Super Bowls. No one likes Alabama whenever they're rolling through college football. But it's nice to be the top dog. It really is. So
Yeah.
I will say just a little bit of announcements. We won't drop any names or anything because we're still working on a little bit of details. But some exciting news, Sooner Nation, is we do have some guys kind of committed and locked in, some former players that are going to come onto the pod. And they're going to tell us about some of their playing time, some experience. Some of them are with this new coaching staff back in the day whenever they were the old coaching staff. So maybe some stories with Schmitty or with BV. But we are excited that we're going to have some of y'all's Sooner favorites on the podcast. And so soon we are going, to just really have some fun with that. It's going to be good. And so y'all keep a lookout on social media. We will announce those players soon who's coming on the pod, spend some time with us. We appreciate them so much. But man, we're excited to have some of our favorite former Sooners on here just to talk about football. Tell us some stories, things that they loved about OU, and some of their thoughts on the current team. So y'all be on the lookout for social media for that. That's going to be some new, cool, big stuff coming. I also said it at the beginning of the pod, but man, the last thing we can ask of you guys, if you've listened all the way to the end, obviously you're a faithful listener. If you could just leave us a 5-star review, Spotify and Apple, share this with some friends. Like if you have some friends that like OU football, just say, hey, I've got some buddies that are doing this podcast. We think it's pretty cool. Listen to it and leave them a review. Let them know how they're doing. Let them know how it's going. And so, man, that helps us tremendously. If you know anybody that goes to OU, share it with them. Tell them to share it with everyone they know. We'd love to get it around the campus and, be able to be the voice kind of for the younger OU fans, the college age, young adult OU fans that have some fun while talking about this. So make sure that you follow us on that and help us out there. I think that's all we got this week. We appreciate you guys listening.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening to another episode of Podcast Like a Champion today. Make sure you go follow us on Twitter and Instagram and look out for giveaways and OU content. Also, leave us a 5-star review. And if you have a question you'd like us to address on the next podcast, you can comment on any streaming platform. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you.